On today's episode of Food Outside the Lines, Anna Maria is showing us how to make an entire meal using one pan. This meal includes a roast, vegetables, potatoes, and garlic. Look at the temperature of that roast. It is a perfect pink. Make sure to watch to the end of the video for a great idea on what to do with the leftovers.
Hey, welcome back, YouTubers. Today we're going to make a quick roast beef. Now, I started this recipe for the Women's Cattlewomen Association competition, and it's kind of a difficult competition because you have to cook your beef in 30 minutes or less. So I thought, well, if I'm going to have to do that, we might as well go back old school. I don't know what decade that's from.
Use a cast iron?
Use a cast iron and go with one pot in the oven.
Oh, okay.
So I also had an opportunity to showcase this on Good Things Utah, and we will add the link in the comments to that if you want to see my first attempt at this quick roast beef. But the nice thing is, it's one pan, it's going to feed your family today, and it's going to feed your family tomorrow. All right, so the first thing we want to do is preheat the oven to 500 degrees. And yep, I know that's really, really high, but that's kind of the thing about this recipe is it's fast, and so you have to have high heat. We're going to put a little olive oil in the bottom of a cast iron pan. If you don't have a cast iron pan, don't worry, don't, freak out. Though you're probably going to want one day. But any pan that can go into the oven is going to work. Don't use a glass pan because we are at a 500 degree heat and we don't want the glass pan to break. You're going to take 2 pieces of French bread and you're just going to lay them right there into your pan. And because I want a one pot dinner, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add potatoes on the side. These potatoes are pretty thick cut because I don't want them to get mushy or overcooked, but I want them to be soft and delicious when we eat. So I'm just going to add that, and I am going to add a sprig of thyme, actually kind of in between the layers a little bit. And then there's salt and pepper on the potatoes. As we go back to that one pot pan, I'm going to add my carrot and my beans because again, I just want to be able to throw this in the oven and just open it up and eat. The one thing that I will tell you is that you probably want the beans towards the bottom of the pan and the carrots towards the top. That way the beans are going to get cooked, but they're not going to get overcooked in the oven. I'm also going to put a little bit of an onion right here, just because I love onion with my meat and it really adds also to the flavors that we're putting into the pan. Now, the last, well, not the last thing, but as far as from a vegetable perspective, since I'm cooking this at such a high heat and it's a one pan thing, we might as well do a little bit of roasted garlic at the same time. So I'm going to just sprinkle again a lot of olive oil right over the top of the garlic. And I just took most of the outer shell flaky stuff off, and then I cut off the top. And then I'm just going to wrap that in aluminum foil. And I'm just going to tuck it right here next to my onion and my bread. Now, because we want to add a little bit more flavor to the meat, we're going to go ahead and add a couple of slices of onion right directly on the bread. We're also going to go ahead and we're going to add some fresh herbs. Now, you can also not use the fresh herbs and use something that's powdered. Our concern, of course, with the fresh herbs is we don't want it to get overly heated, but I found that this works just fine. At this point, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put a little olive oil over my herbs, over my potatoes, and over my veggies, and what the heck, a little sprinkle over my onion as well. If you are using, whatever oil you choose to use, grapeseed or whatever, just make sure it has a high smoke point. Otherwise, the whole neighborhood's going to know that you're making this and the police might come over. So for the meat, what I did is I just did a cheap cut of beef. This is really and truly rump roast, not expensive at all. And all I'm going to do is put it here in the pan. But remember, I salted it pretty heavily last night and I put it into the fridge. The reason that I do that, and there's a lot of science around it, and I don't get all of that science around it, but it actually absorbs into the meat and it makes the meat juicier. So as we start to cook at a really high temperature, that extra juice is going to be important to make sure that the roast stays really tender, and it tenderized it as well just sitting on it. I've also now added a little bit of garlic over the top just because I love garlic, but you can leave it like it is. You can season it with salt and pepper, not any more salt, but pepper, garlic, whatever you want, and you're just going to lay it over here on the top.
How much salt did you put on it last night?
So you have to salt it pretty heavily. So, you know, when you take it, don't be afraid because it's not going to come out really salty. So just make sure that you coat all sides, and really, you know, probably 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon per major side. So there is a lot of salt on this, and I wouldn't use table salt either. I would use like a kosher salt, or what you're using over here is a Himalayan salt that you mix, because a table salt's going to be just too flaky to do what we want it to do, the science behind this. So that's why I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm going to rinse my hands because I touched the meat, but we're going to throw it now in the 500-degree oven down towards the bottom of the oven, and we're going to let it cook about 30 minutes. A note on this though, I was taking a class one time from a chef, and we asked, how long are we supposed to cook this? How long are we supposed to cook this? And the chef said, until it's done. So, you know, it's really up to you as to how much you want to cook it. If you like it medium or you like it rare, you might want to do a little bit less time. And you know, he wasn't being a clown about this, but that's the answer, is you cook it until it's done. But it's going to be about 20-30 minutes.
Cook to temperature.
Cook to temperature. Okay, so we've just pulled this out of the oven. It's that one-pot dinner just like Grandma used to make. I mean, you can see we have the potatoes, the vegetables, the meat. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the bread, because the nice thing about this particular meal is that it is great as a Sunday dinner, and then the next day we're going to do a steak salad with it. And of course, we have this amazing roasted garlic as well, that we're going to be able to either just put on some bread, or you can eat it with the roast, however you like it. So we're going to plate this up and show you what we can do. Okay, so here we have our finished roast dinner. Now I'm going to hit the vegetables with just a little bit of lemon, just because I really like lemon.
Citrus on vegetables is great.
Yep, and I actually even will hit the potatoes with a little bit of lemon. And you can see how pretty the meat is. It's a great temperature. Again, though, cook it to your temperature, your liking. So because we are all so busy, not only do I love this meal because it's one pot and you get everything that you need, it also gives me dinner for the next day. So I might do this on a Sunday and we have a great roast dinner on Sunday, and then for Monday I'm going to change things around a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to make a salad with it. So at this point I'm going to take the bread that was at the bottom of the pan, and I just cut it up and I make my croutons, and I'm just going to add that right there in there. And then you can just slice up some of your leftover roast, and you can put that in as well. So you can use any salad dressing you want, but I grew up in a pretty traditional home where we only had one salad dressing. I mean, that was oil and vinegar. As a matter of fact, I was probably a teenager before I found out that there was other salad dressings besides my mom's oil and vinegar. But we love it. My daughter, she just had her birthday, and I asked her what did she want for her dinner, and she said salad and cheesecake. So, of course, I added more to it than that, but we just love my mom's old-fashioned salad. And really, this is the way that my mom used to do it, so this is the way that I do it. So we're going to add, I'm going to add 4 little cups here, or lids of olive oil. 4?
That's 3. But you can't add too much olive oil.
No, you're right. And then I'm going to add 2 things of a good wine vinegar. So wine vinegar sometimes, at least where I'm at, can be hard to find, but it's worth looking for. A nice red wine vinegar. And then, AJ, I'm going to have you put salt and pepper on this. But this is the way my mother would take care of the salad. And she would swear that this is the only way to do a tossed salad. And people would ask for her recipe and she'd tell them, and then they'd say it doesn't taste like yours, and my mom would say because you didn't mix it with your hand. So let's add a little salt and pepper here. I'm going to just toss a little bit more. And of course that's to taste, but you can even bring up some of your steak up front. Look at that. Now we have our dinner, and we still have some French bread left over. So we have a wonderful dinner for Monday as well. Okay, so for me, a perfect bite has a little bit of onion, a little bit of garlic, and then that beautiful roast beef. A little onion, a little garlic. So cheers.
Cheers. That was so good. It's a little garlic in that.
That garlic's so creamy.
Really good. I'm gonna try carrot too.
Eat your vegetables.
That's right. Keep the doctor happy.
All right. So, you know what? I want you to taste it. I want you to savor it. I want you to enjoy it. I want you to hit like, please, and subscribe. Go ahead and share with your friends. And we are going to post new videos every Thursday.
Yep. Great. Thank you. We'll see you next Thursday.